What if I told you that some of the most dramatic battles in history never officially happened? No dates, no medals, no heroic statues, just silence. Not because they were small, but because the truth was too dangerous, too humiliating, or too destabilizing for those in power to ever allow it into the public record. Tonight, we're opening the chapters of history that were quietly sealed shut, battles that shaped nations, and then were erased from the story. Welcome to History's Greatest Cover-Up, Battles Nobody Talks About. Stay with me, because once you hear these stories, you'll start to question how much of the past we really know and how much was deliberately buried. Our first story begins not with a trumpet, but with silence. An entire army marches into a remote valley, thousands of soldiers, fully equipped, well-trained, confident, and then nothing. No messages, no retreat, no survivors returning home, just absence. When search parties finally reached the valley, what they found was chaos frozen in time, shattered shields, snapped spear shafts, rusting armor half buried in the dirt, and beneath the soil, mass graves. This was no small skirmish. It was a disaster on a scale that should have reshaped history books. So why doesn't it appear in them? Because the rulers at the time decided that defeat was unacceptable. Chroniclers were ordered not to record it. Reports were destroyed. Families were told nothing. Soldiers weren't honored, because honoring them meant acknowledging the loss. And slowly, over generations, the story faded. Until archaeologists rediscovered it, not in libraries, but in the ground. History remembers, even when people in power try to forget. Now imagine this. A small, underestimated army defeats a much larger, more powerful empire. In any normal world, that would become legend. Songs would be written, monuments built, names remembered. But not this time, because the wrong side won. The empire, embarrassed and humiliated, rewrote the narrative. Their historians dismissed the event as a minor unrest. Officials denied defeat. Generals invented excuses. Meanwhile, the victors received no glory. In fact, they were silenced. Many disappeared. Some were executed. Others lived out their lives under constant threat, knowing that telling the truth meant risking everything. But history has cracks, and the truth leaks through. Private letters, old diaries, unapproved journals, scraps of parchment hidden away in dusty archives. We discover the truth not through official records, but through the whispers that escaped censorship. And when you piece those fragments together, you realize something chilling. Power fears humiliation more than it fears bloodshed. If victory threatens the system, victory vanishes. Our next battle doesn't begin with soldiers at all. It begins with villagers, farmers, craftspeople, families, ordinary people living quiet lives until an empire decides their land is too valuable to ignore. When soldiers arrive, the villagers are expected to surrender quickly, quietly, obediently. But they don't. They refuse. They gather whatever they can use as weapons, tools, hunting spears, old swords passed down for generations. They know they're outnumbered. They know they're outmatched, and they fight anyway. What happens next is stunning. Through luck, courage, terrain, and pure desperation, the villagers win the first battle. An empire is forced to retreat, For one brief, impossible moment, ordinary people defeat the machine. But victories like that don't fit the story powerful rulers want told. So the empire returns, stronger, angrier, determined not just to crush resistance, but to erase the very idea that resistance ever existed. The village is wiped out, buildings destroyed, records burned, survivors hunted, and the battle becomes a rumor. A ghost story told in nearby towns, a line in a forgotten folk song, a broken monument with no inscription. Officially, it never happened, but legends don't die easily, and even after centuries, the truth breathes beneath the ashes. So why are these battles hidden? Why do some losses echo forever, while others vanish? Sometimes it's politics, sometimes it's pride, sometimes it's the fear that ordinary people might realize just how fragile power really is. Because history isn't just a record of what happened, history is a weapon. If you control the story of the past, you influence the present and shape the future. Victories inspire loyalty, defeats inspire questions, and questions are dangerous, so the story gets edited. A general becomes a hero instead of a failure. An empire becomes unstoppable instead of vulnerable. A rebellion becomes a disturbance. A massacre becomes a misunderstanding. And the truth? The truth is locked away. Not always perfectly, not always completely, but enough that most people never look beneath the surface. But here's the problem with erasing history. The past leaves fingerprints. You can burn scrolls, you can silence witnesses, you can threaten historians, but you can't silence the earth. Weapons buried in the ground don't lie. Bones don't lie. Unmarked graves don't lie. And when archaeologists and historians start connecting the dots, the official version of events begins to unravel. A missing regiment here, unaccounted bodies there, stories told by villagers that match artifacts discovered centuries later. Piece by piece, the erased battles return, not as myths, not as conspiracies, but as reality. The past refuses to be buried forever. So here's the real question. If these battles were covered up, how many more have we never heard of? How many defeats turned into victories on paper? How many rebellions vanished because they were too inspiring? How many ordinary people stood up and were erased from the story? History is not just what happened. History is what survived. And sometimes the truth doesn't survive easily. So the next time you hear the official version, remember, there may be another version, a quieter one, a buried one written not by the victors, but by the ground itself. Stay curious, ask questions, because the past is not finished with us, and as long as we keep digging, the truth will keep coming back.